This is MTD&D's Bastards of Bastion, and tonight it is episode 2, Breaking All the Laws of Time and Space. Bastards of Bastion is a Harbinger, dark science fantasy, Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition role-playing game. Harbinger is currently in playtest. It is a product from Absolute Tabletop. And if you would want any more information about Harbinger, or you want to check it out at all, head over to harbingerrpg.com, where there's kind of a wiki there. There's also information on how you can sign up for the playtest, and you can be informed when Harbinger actually becomes a regularly available D&D module from Absolute Tabletop. We're currently playing in playtest version 0.4. 0.5 should be coming along soon. In the meantime, we are playing this Bastards of Bastion, which has 4 prisoners who have been serving hard labor in the Rings of Bastion. And we kind of join them mid-sentence and mid-flight in the last session. So first, I'm going to have each of the players give a quick introduction of themselves and who they're playing. And I'm going to finish up with Chad, who is going to give us a recap of session 1. So let's start off with Alexa. Who are you and who are you playing tonight?
Hey everybody, I am Alexa. I play story-based games on Twitch at Blue Alexa. And tonight I'll be playing Queen Gilliani, a trader. And hopefully my story doesn't end here.
And then next, we're going to jump over to Dwight.
Hey everybody, Dwight here. I am playing Fenris Demidar, also a treader, kind of a big hulking brute of an ex-soldier. Doesn't say a whole lot. Probably gonna die. Jake likes to kill me, so it's been fun while we've been doing it. So
next, we've got Megan.
Hey everyone, I'm Megan, and tonight I'm going to be playing Cursed Soriano. She is this perpetually positive, but has this very odd side to her where she is not afraid to do what is necessary to get ahead. Having a lot of fun with these players, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen tonight.
And while I play some musical cameras, as something got switched around again, we're going to have Chad is going to give us a recap of the last session.
I'm Chad, and I'm playing Orion, and lastly, we were returning from labor as part of our sentence as Bastards of Bastion. Bastards of Bastion. We were sentenced to hard labor as part of our. So we were coming back from that, and our sentries, the people that were looking over us, one of them had the bright idea of flying near to the Harbinger, and there seemed to be some kind of like Skrug civil war or something going on, as all the ships seemed to be of that kind of construction, and they were attacking each other, and we got caught up in the foray, and we got spun out of control, and we were the only ones to survive the crash, and my character was the only one conscious through it all. And you got to see people like cut in half and all that. So if you're not prepared for that, that's coming, probably more of that. So be prepared now. And so we searched what was left of our vessel, and met up with one another and freed ourselves of a collar that was inhibiting our Astra abilities, which is basically magic casting if you're unfamiliar to Harbinger. And then we got off of that ship and onto another ship that is either its own entity attached to the Harbinger or is now basically more or less it is the Harbinger. And we're on that ship now, and we've encountered some Skrugs here. I think that's.
Thank you for that recap, Chad. Take a point of inspiration. You're probably going to need it. So, along with the our 4 prisoners here tonight, there were 4 other prisoners that were on this vessel along with them. They were Romualdo Bax, known as the Smiler, a serial killer who never even made it out of his harnesses. He'd been injured, and Isaiah Orion took not a small amount of pleasure in making sure he didn't survive the crash. Dorian Hennessy, Trinity, the White Rabbit Hullet, a hacker, and the hulking enforcer woman by the name of Florence Disco, who was also known as Crazy. And I bring Florence Disco up because as the other prisoners that survived, while you were pilfering through the guards and the weapons cabinets on the prison transport vessel, these others escaped out the wrecked front end of this ship and into this other ship that may or may not be the Harbinger itself. And one of the last ones you saw taking off was this kind of brute woman, Florence Disco Crazy. And she had gone to the end of this intersection and had kind of went around the corner to the right. You guys proceeded to move down the corridor, and there was an explosion that injured a few of you. And then as you continued to move forward, you saw Disco come running back the other way. And just as she got to the end of the hall where you were, you saw her head reduced to a fine red mist by a pulsar blast coming from the other direction. And I'm pretty sure it was Fenris Demidar was the one who made it to the corner first, peered around and saw the figures that were waiting for you around the other side. And that's where we left off. As what specifically what you see, Fenris, is these 3-eyed creatures that specifically you saw some crawlers, Skrug crawlers. They're 3-eyed. All Skrugs are 3-eyed creatures that you all know who they are. They're the kind of the scourge of the Rings of Bastion, and many believe that they came with the Harbinger. These things, though, these Skrug crawlers crawl around on all fours, and they only rise up if they're going to slash with a crude rusty blade, or if they're going to fire off a quick round from their pulsar rifles. These things like to climb around and try to get the upper ground. And there are currently 3 of them in the right-hand hallway, one of whom that you see is holding a pulsar rifle and has just blasted Disco Crazy. And I'm going to have you, as the very first action, roll for initiative. Because that's how I like to start out a game. Let's see. All right, so it looks like Cursed, I got yours. And then Fenris looking pretty low. What do you got? Alexa got you there. And what do you got, Chad?
Where we're at.
What do you got for initiative?
9, good sir. 9.
9. So Alexa, you're going to be the first one to act. As at this point, I'm going to actually kind of leave it up to Fenris. if you, as a free action, you can tell the others what you see around the corner. If you don't, then, well, that's going to make it harder for them. So I leave that in your hands.
Can I tell if they've seen me or not, or are they?
You kind of got this. You've got a good military background, and you were able to get kind of a quick sneak a peek around the corner and pop back as you made that quick assessment of what was there.
Okay.
So you're pretty sure that they have not yet seen you.
Okay, so I'm going to just use some hand signals to kind of, count the, so I can signal how many there are, approximately where they are in the hallway. I try to catch Quinn's eye, reasonably certain that she was a soldier as well. So trying to relay that information without making too much noise.
And Quinn, you see these hand signals from Fenris, and you would be able to, at the very least, you can assess with the common sense knowledge of having just seen somebody's head blown off and his military signals that things aren't too terribly good around the corner here. What would you like to do?
How far away am I from the corner itself? From the place
you're all kind of gathered up. All of you are within 10 feet, more or less, of the edge of the corner.
Okay. So I'd like to. I have my carbine. So I'd like to, maybe if I have room, to peek around the corner, and if I do have military training, I would like to take a shot at the first enemy I see that carries a gun or a fire weapon. That I see in character carrying a fire weapon, because I know currently there's just one.
So you're gonna peek around and try to pop a shot off really quickly. I want you to make a perception check, and this will determine whether or not you have disadvantage on your shot.
Oh, it's a 6. I have good perception, but a 2 on the die.
You peek around and you immediately see the figure that's rised up. You cannot tell whether or not this figure holds a gun as you squeeze the trigger. So you're going to be making, there's 2 other figures. So you're going to be making the shot at disadvantage as you kind of, you have just a little bit of a hesitation from too many targets.
Quick question. As a traverser, I have advantage on attack rolls against creatures that have not acted yet on my first turn during combat.
In that case, then that will cancel out the disadvantage, and it will be a straight roll.
Okay. So with my carbine, that's gonna be... Oh my god, a 9. I just can't roll tonight.
So what does it look like when you fire into this hallway, kind of taking a quick shot, and you miss all 3 targets?
Well, it's a very impressive looking blast, but not a lot of results to be seen. I guess it just scatters the shot across the walls and just pierces them, punches black holes into them, but that's pretty much all it does, I guess.
Yeah, these walls are already, whatever this vessel is, appears to be old, and as your shot kind of just flies wide and hits a wall, it sparks, causes a panel to break away, and we're going to, I'm actually going to have you roll me a d20. Let's see if your shot triggered anything.
That's an 8.
So, yeah, your shot just kind of ricochets off, knocking a panel loose. Kirst, you don't know if she hit anything or not. You just saw her pop around, Fenris and her kind of exchanging signals. And there's clearly something around the corner. What are you going to do?
Kirst is going to we in last session we had come up to a T intersection, right? And we had gone the one way.
You are at the T intersection now. You have not actually gone either way.
Okay. Kirst is she's gonna ready an action. She's going to try and shoot one of them if she can see if they come around the corner.
Okay. Alrighty. So you just kind of prepare yourself, and Quinn, as you kind of popped your shot off and as you were starting to duck back, you noticed that these Skrug crawlers, their reaction was to the one that you could see that was kind of raised up, drop down to all fours, and you saw them kind of scuttle up part way up the wall and actually move back just as you ducked out of the way. You hear this kind of and kind of a lot of chattering, and you can hear their heavy claws banging against the hull plates, but you don't see anything advance around the corner. And I would like a perception roll from all four of you.
$22.
And what do you got, Chad? Isaiah Orion is the only one that doesn't hear this sound. From back the way you came. From the crashed, just less than 30 feet behind you, where you escaped out of the smashed cockpit of the prison transport vessel. You hear the sound of the metal shifting, like something heavy has just moved against it. You hear that sound of metal against metal. You hear the sound of something heavy crunching on broken glass. And you hear this kind of liquid, almost slurping. Slurp is the best word I can think of to describe this. And it's coming from the hall behind you. And as I said, Orion's the only one that doesn't see it. Would any of the three of you turn to look at this sound?
I think Quinn would definitely turn to look at the sound.
Yes,
Which
so
one?
would Kirst.
Where is it coming from again?
The way you came from the ship, from the transport vessel.
Yeah, I'm going to keep my eyes around the corner since I know that the others are behind me.
So, Quinn and Kirst, what you see. Kirst, the first thing you see, kind of putting a hand up, a bloody hand, broken fingers twisted. You see the guard whose nose you broke as he was still alive after the crash. But as he grabs the edges of the frame and pulls forward, you see that his broken body is coming through not by itself. There's a mass of all four guards that seem to have been melded together. Blood, broken bones, ichor trailing behind, and as they pull through, part of one of the guards rips open, spilling innards across the dash. And that's that slurping wet sound you hear as this thing just kind of and lands on the floor outside, and you see 2 or 3 heads kind of and it is now Orion's turn. Wait. Yes, it is now Orion's turn.
Oh,
And
he's going to be
you didn't really hear
hitching
this.
at. Right. He's not. He's more obligated with these shots that are coming in front of him. He's kind of itching at where this collar used to be that he's had on for 4 months, inhibiting his abilities. And he's going to at least try and run up and see if he can get a spark going from his hand, because it's been a while. And I'm going to run up and see what I can hit around the corner. I think the Skrug is still there. Skrug.
As you pop around the corner, you already can feel the sensation. It's been 4 months that you've had this collar on, and you can feel that familiar spark now coming to your hands. As you peer around to kind of get an assessment, give me a perception check real quick.
All right, hopefully it's better than the last one. I'm going to use my, oh man. No, I'm going to go with it 7.
As you peer around, you do not see any creatures in the hall.
I'm going to Astro Bolt down the hallway anyways.
All right. Give me an attack roll at disadvantage.
8.
I want you to give me one more perception roll. I'm giving you an extra perception roll as this Astro Bolt shoots down the hallway and kind of shadows start dancing around. It's illuminating the hallway.
Believe it or not, I got the same exact thing with a 6, 7.
How does it feel to finally be able to fire, even though you've hit nothing and accomplished nothing? How does it feel to Orion to be able to access the Astra again?
Yes. And you'll see the veins on his right side from where the inhibitor was down to his fingertips have a crimson Astra glowing from underneath his skin.
And Fenris, Orion is standing right next to you, having just fired blindly down the hall. And you don't know whether or not he's hit anything, but man, does he have this kind of malicious grin on his face as he's done this. What are you going to do, Fenris?
So what is closest to me around the corner here? Can I?
You going to take another peek around there and see what
Yeah,
you
I'm
can
going to
see?
peek around and see what I can see.
Initially, it looks like the hallway's empty. Give me perception.
7.
It looks like the hallway's empty. There's about every 10 feet or so, there seems to be sections of bulkhead. And just like in the hallway you're in, the what's it called? The bulkheads, like every 10 feet, there's like a section of bulkhead that kind of goes all the way around that extends it into the hallway, maybe a foot. Other than that, you don't see any figures of the Skrugs in the hall.
Okay. So, then I would turn towards the sound that I heard behind me. I didn't turn before, but the thing behind me. And I'm going to go ahead and take a shot at it with my shotgun, my scatter gun. But before doing that, I'm going to use my bonus action to channel Red Astra into my energy weapon.
All right.
Which will give me some extras there. So I'm going to go ahead and roll for attack here. And 23.
You are going to hit this kind of amalgamation of dead prison guards.
Okay. And that is going to do 16 points of damage.
What does it look like as you hit this hideous mass of fused body parts?
You just see this red energy just hits it and just does it kill it, or is it just doing damage to it?
No.
Okay, so it's just, you see like a glowing bolt of energy kind of hit, and it kind of swells up a little bit and explodes on the surface.
Yeah, and you see a section of like one of the shoulders of one of the guards kind of separates and kind of flops down, but you still see the arm kind of reaching around and flexing, and these four heads that just kind of turning and looking at you. And I'm going to roll. All right. It is back to the top, Quinn. It is your go. You've got this hideous mound of corpses behind you.
Okay, so Quinn was already kind of breathing heavily at the thought of an encounter with Harbinger creatures. So at this point, having seen this monstrosity basically blocking any sort of retreat or any sort of familiar ground, which was the ship we were on, the transport, she's at this point, she's kind of freezing in a panic, if that can happen. She's just gonna clutch her weapon and just kind of wide-eyed kind of start to back away towards the T intersection, kind of like all thoughts of other threats kind of forgotten, because she's kind of starting to get these flashbacks to a very similar experience. And even though the people currently making up the monstrosity are not necessarily combat companions, they were people that she had known for quite a while, and so she's just gonna basically move into the T intersection and then kind of freeze there at the intersection. Maybe just having a quick look around to the right and to the left to see if there's any sort of an escape route.
You move into the T intersection, just backing away from this monstrosity. And you're kind of looking left and looking right, and as you're backing away, you know that to your left would be to the right, that where the direction the Skrugs were coming from. You don't see the Skrugs. You just see sparking, and you can see now that the hallway continues on for a little ways before what appears to be about 30 feet before it cuts off to a direction you can't tell from here. But looking to the other direction, which would be your right and everyone else's left, you see that the hall goes for only about 10 feet, and then it cuts going back, continuing in the same direction as the current hall you were in. So you've got kind of like 20 feet, and then it would curve off to the side and allow you to continue moving.
I think that she would kind of start edging towards her right, so the left of the T intersection. Yeah, and just kind of start moving, but not. If I start moving to my right, how long before I lose sight of what's currently happening?
You can go the 20 feet to where the hall turns and still see everybody kind of where they are in the intersection and have full view of the hallway that you're in, and you can even peer around.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you were already kind of at that intersection, so you're only moving 20 feet.
Okay.
To get to that.
Okay, yeah. Okay,
to get to
so
this new junction.
Can I peer around the new corner?
Yep. Go ahead and give me a perception check.
Ooh, that's a natural 20.
So you look and you can see this hallway continues on for a little ways, and then you see probably about 30 feet, and you can see that there's another intersection, and it's pointing. You actually could see a what's the word I'm looking for? Markings. Like it's not really like a sign. It's kind of like etched in or painted on the wall. You
Like a
see
stencil?
yeah, like a stencil. Thank you. Pointing to the left and to the right, and the arrow pointing to the left says the word in common, in clearly readable by you, the word bridge.
Oh.
And to the right, it says escape ship.
Oh. Such tasty options.
And that's about 30 feet from where you are now, down in what appears to be an otherwise abandoned hallway.
Okay, do I still have like a bonus action to maybe say something to the others?
Speaking is a free action.
Okay.
Basically,
So I'm just
you can get out a sentence or two. You can't like carry on a full conversation, but you can get out a few sentences to your companions.
Okay. Quinn's just gonna kind of weakly at first, but then just trying to make sure that the others can hear her. She's just gonna shout, uh, escape ship, escape ship. I don't think we should fight that. I'm not gonna fight that. And that's gonna be it.
So, Kirst, this is what you hear from Quinn as she's kind of moved quickly towards this other direction. What are you going to do?
Kirst has never been one to stay and fight. She's been running her whole life, and being in jail for a year is not going to change that. So she is going to just, at the word escape ship, she's just going to turn, heel, and run around the corner. But she is going to stop by Quinn, and Quinn, Kirst is going to just grab your hand, and you feel this cold metallic cylindrical type thing against your hand before she just continues on running. And if you look, it's one of the menders.
At first, she kind of tries to pull away because, weren't exactly best buddies before, but she grasps the item and looks down and then gives like kind of like a surprised look and then nods her head, and that's all she can do right now. Thank you.
And just as a reminder, a mender is a basically like a syringe type healing device that you will take a full action and will allow you to roll a hit die plus your con and heal that many hit points. So it's basically kind of functions almost like a fighter's action surge.
Yeah, and as Kirst is like kind of passing by, or after she gives you the mender, she just kind of winks at you, and she's just like, I'm betting on your survival, and guess that means you're going to help me. And so she's just going to continue booking it down.
So you're able to get, as you head around, just kind of running down this corridor and running past her, you get about 10 feet down the corridor, and I want you to roll a d20.
That's a 9.
All right, you got about 20 feet to go before you reach the end of this corridor, and you too can now see the sign, the stenciling at the end that reads to the left is the bridge, to the right is escape ship.
Does she still have? Can she still do a bonus action?
Yeah, so far all you've done is run and kind of interact with object, kind of handing off this.
So you just see Curse just kind of this yellow Astra just begins to encircle her body, and then just like that she's gone, and then in the next instant she reappears 20 feet down the hall.
So you have just void slipped to the end of the hall, covering that last 20 feet, just in a blink of yellow. You said yellow Astra?
Mm-hmm.
So just kind of like as you take a step, it just, and then there's just this, and you're there. And when you appear, which way do you turn? To the left or to the right?
Towards the escape ship, so I think that's to the right.
And when we get back to you, I will tell you what you see down that hallway. Orion, when you popped out and popped off your shots, did you stay in the intersection or did you pop back in cover?
I would say that he probably was overzealous and probably stayed out there.
All right. What is your armor class? I don't remember.
12 currently.
12. So let's see. Whoops, that's the wrong Skrug. Let's see. That is a light pistol. So that's gonna hit. Okay. You see 3 blasts shooting from. One of them actually seems to come from the ceiling, and the other 2 come shooting out from around the bulkhead down the hall. It appears as though these Skrug crawlers had gone beyond one of the bulkheads and splayed themselves out so they couldn't be seen. Let's see, what does this light pistol do?
D8.
2, 4. And 2 of these bolts hit you. 1 in each shoulder. The first one seems to almost just graze your left shoulder, taking 2 points of piercing damage as this round just tears through your shoulder, catching part of your prison scout's suit. The other one hits you in the meat of your shoulder, hard, slamming into it, and you take 3 points from this one as it hits. So you just get hit for a total of, what did I say the first one was? Was 2, right? Or was it 1?
Correct.
2. So you take 5 points of piercing damage as these two rounds hit you. How do you react to those shots?
I think that the first one that grazed me, he kind of smirks as it just tears mostly through his scout suit. And then when the other one hits him, where it hits him, there's a burst of a little bit of flicker of red Astra that comes out from his own use. And it nearly floors him. He's taken clearly back and takes, for his effort, as just barely having enough nutrition to feed a prisoner. He's not at his ample strength, and he's very winded and brought to a knee and grimacing as the pool of blood starts to soak around the burnt part of his scout suit. And
Fenris, you're the only one now facing this monstrosity that was coming out of the transport ship. As you see okay, so this is what you see right now. It's a mass of flesh and gore, broken bones, limbs at different orders, where you've split this shoulder apart and it's just kind of lolling out there. One head, the neck appears to be broken. The nose clearly broken, shattered up into the skull, broken teeth. And this whole thing starts to move towards you. But the figure that's standing, the one that's kind of standing there that looks the most whole, doesn't move. Instead, what you see is the mass as one kind of rises up and just moves over its shoulder and it just lands another one. And then the other one kind of slides in around and kind of moves up next to him. But it's facing the wrong way. It's almost like the body is so twisted and broken, it just looks wrong. It's almost perpendicular as this mass has just moved 15 feet closer to you. What are you going to do, Fenris?
So how far away is it from me now?
At this point, it is 15 feet away.
Okay. And from what you're describing, it's not like walking. It's more like it's more like a amoeba-like. And it's just
kind of the grotesque way that a worm or caterpillar moves, but way grosser.
Okay. So I guess I'm just going to shoot at the lower section of it, whatever seems to be closest to me, on whatever just landed and is bearing weight. So I'm going to take another shot here. 13.
Your shot hits a section that appears to be almost like a massive boil. You've just kind of lanced this grotesque boil, and there's pus and blood that spills out as you do no real damage to this thing.
Okay. Then I'm going to hightail it for whichever direction everybody else was going. Kind of keeping my head over my shoulder as I go, keeping an eye on it.
All right. In that case, you're able to head in that direction and actually also get around the corner. Also passing Quinn, who's standing at the corner, and you kind of get into the hallway. And I want you to roll a d20.
2.
Roll another d20.
20.
Everybody needs to make a dexterity saving throw.
Sorry. Oh, no. Fail. Crit fail, if that matters.
No, in this case, the crit fail doesn't matter.
Okay.
Basically, anybody, who all got lower than a 12?
I got a 12.
You're good. How about, let's see, Cursed is good. How about Orion?
19.
So, Fenris, you're the only one that this happens. There's an explosion somewhere in this vessel. And the entirety of the vessel kind of heaves and slams back into position. And the deck slides out from under your feet for a moment, causing you to lose your footing. When you go to put your foot down where you were expecting there to be floor, not quite yet. It's like the floor is there too quick. And you kind of maybe wrench your knee a little bit, and you go sprawling. You're knocked prone. Give me another dex check real quick to see if you hold on to your weapon.
16.
You managed to hold on to your scatter gun as you just hit and kind of slide about 5 feet down the hallway. Everybody else is able to just kind of, Quinn's holding the wall there. Cursed at that intersection, manages to maintain control against that wall, and Orion just seems to kind of ride it out with no adverse effect. As we are back at the top of the order with Quinn, two of your party has just kind of blasted past you, heading towards the escape route. And you have a mender in your hand now.
Has Fenris, you said that he kind of slipped 5 feet, or was thrown 5 feet, was pushed 5 feet down the hallway. Was he pushed towards the intersection where Cursed was, or back towards back where we came from?
Yeah, he made it around the corner by you, and
Yeah.
then he when he fell, he just kind of kept going in that direction. So
Okay.
he's about 5 feet into that hallway, lying on his face.
Okay. So Quinn was kind of just getting ready to back away further into the intersection with the escape ship, but then she sees Orion kind of get hit and fall to one knee. There's just this moment of conflict between, ingrained routines, ingrained response, and just the need to escape. But it's right there in front, so Queen's gonna go and try and help Orion up and kind of help him back towards the corridor. Kind of move together.
Okay, so you're gonna go back for Orion.
How far away is he?
So you need to go. You can make it to Orion, and then another 10 feet back as you're kind of pulling him. So you're kind of not quite. You basically end up 10 feet from where you were originally, but you're pulling Orion back. Unless Orion resists, would you go with her, Orion?
Yeah, being in what state he's in, he wouldn't resist you.
And I'm gonna say, Quinn, take a point of inspiration for that. For just, it's not necessarily in your best interest, endangering yourself to help somebody else. That's a cool character moment. So take inspiration for that.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Yeah, my carbine is two-handed, but could she kind of, while helping Orion, could she kind of not holster, but can she kind of hoist the weapon like Ripley style, just with one hand? I mean, I'm not sure that's gonna fire properly if I were to fire it.
If you have to shoot it one-handed, we'll just say that you're shooting at disadvantage.
Okay. So she's kind of holding it like some sort of defense if anything happens. And
Okay,
just
so you're kind of just readying in case something comes at you, readying in action to shoot.
Yeah.
Perfect. I love it. Cursed, you are at the intersection. You turned in the direction where it says escape ship. You see a hallway that is twisted and mangled. Looking down the hallway, it seems to kind of go like this, and the floor actually twists around after about 15 feet to where the floor is actually now on the ceiling. It's in shadow and sparks. No regular illumination down this hallway, as there are broken wires venting gas, small explosions happening down that way. What are you going to do?
Chris is going to take like a quick look back at the others. And I think she sees that Quinn is helping out Isaiah but she doesn't have time for that. She's going to risk it. She needs to get out of here, off this ship. So she's just going to run down that hallway.
You start running down this hallway. And as you prepare kind of to deal with the twisted flooring, you find after about just after about 5 feet where the hull starts to twist, that as you're running along this hallway, if you just keep moving, after 15 feet, you're still, you feel like you're still upright. But looking back, you would see that the hallway where you came from, everything appears upside down. It would appear that as you're running along this route, wherever the floor is gravity orientation.
And I think at this, like, this uneasy pit in her stomach would kind of come up. She doesn't like the looks of this. And so she is thinking that she probably shouldn't run headlong into this. If something happens, she should let someone else go first. So she is going to just kind of wait and look to see if the other three are coming down this way.
Excellent. It is... All right, let's see. It's going to miss. That's going to miss. 3 more shots come flying out of the dark at the end of the hall where you originally saw the Skrugs, as Quinn and Isaiah aren't quite back to where they came from. You hear the shots, you see the muzzle flash, and you hear the sound of ricocheting around you, Quinn and Orion, as a pew, 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 but nothing hits you. The Skrugs appear to be favoring cover and are firing blindly down the hallway and have failed to hit you. A moment later, there's that sickening slurping sound as this hideous mound of guard corpses just kind of and appears out in that intersection. As it stops at the intersection, it kind of rises up, and Quinn and Orion, you're the only two that see this, as it seems to kind of raise up. 2 figures of broken guards rise almost to the ceiling, and then the whole thing splits and peels to either side as it breaks off into 2 sections. And it is now Orion's turn, as Quinn has kind of already started dragging you towards this intersection. What are you going to do?
Foolish woman. And he kind of pushed himself free. And he's holding her where he was shot. And you see as the Astra flickers in from his wound and pours from his hand. And he lifts it up with his other hand and he shoots a plasma beam down the hallway.
All right.
And that is dexterity saves from anything in a 30-foot line.
All right. That's going to be both of these. I got, what's the DC?
12.
They got a 12 and a 14, as they seem to kind of and just move out of the way, just amorphously, just as the plasma bolts shoot down. However,
half as much on a save.
That's a fail. That's a fail. And that's a fail. So roll the damage.
9 fire damage, or yes, fire damage. Half as much on a save.
Okay, so I'm gonna let you describe, as this bolt passes by these 2 guard corpse mound things and just singes them a little bit. What does it look like as your bolt kills all 3 Skrug crawlers that were just emerging from cover.
I see you. I find you. And I'll burn you. Let's flee, woman.
And he'll run towards the escape.
And Quinn, you even see this as Orion says this, that the 3 Skrugs had been pressed against the walls, one on the ceiling, 2 on the side walls, and they had all kind of pushed apart at the same time and almost kind of converged in the middle at just that wrong moment when this plasma bolt shot down the hallway, and you just obliterated them as you see singed pieces of Skrug falling at the end of the hall. Are you going to go ahead and break away from Quinn and move your full speed, Orion?
I'm going to do half as much considering how low his health is at this point.
Okay, that's enough to get you to the intersection and around the corner about 5 feet. And I need you to roll a d20.
All right. 15 on the die.
Okay. And it is Fenris Demidar. You are up. You are not currently lying prone. It takes half your movement to raise yourself back up.
So I will raise myself back up and move half of my movement. Well, how far down is Quinn for me?
Quinn isn't even in this hallway yet.
Okay.
And I would say that Orion is pretty much, as you pull yourself up, he's right next to you.
Okay. I'm just gonna hold my action at this point, keeping my eye down the hallway, and go from there. So I'll have my actually take that back. I'm gonna use my action to reload my scatter gun. Sorry.
Excellent. So you reload, take the moment to pop some more rounds into your scatter gun. And we are back at the top of the order with Quinn. You have 10 feet to close to get back to where you were at the intersection.
Okay, so Quinn would she wouldn't necessarily pay attention to the foolish woman moment. She's way too focused on just not being terrified at that point. However, she does look a bit surprised to see that the heavily wounded man she thought she was kind of helping along kind of just had that moment of destruction in him to completely wipe out the visible threat. She's kind of reassessing the situation, but then she will continue to back away down the corridor towards the where the others are and where she saw the the other corridor with the doors, but keeping an eye on the corridor because she does not know how many more Skrugs there are out there, so she's just gonna back towards the corridor.
So you're able, if you move your full movement, you're able to get back around that corner, and you move a little ways past where Fenris is reloading and Orion has just kind of gotten around the corner. There's no sign of Cursed, but you can see now that you're not too far away from the end of the hall with the bridge to the left and the escape ship to the right.
Okay, well, seeing Fenris reload, I think, and remembering their interaction earlier, kind of like moving in like a sort of tandem, she would probably, I apologize, that was the cat kind of sniffing the microphone. She would probably kind of hold position next to Fenris, hold a defensive position next to the reloading companion, and just end her movement there, and just ready in action in case any sort of threat becomes visible down the corridor that they've just left.
Absolutely. Perfect. And, well, that's going to take us to Cursed. You are upside down to anybody else, you're upside down. You're halfway down this corridor, and you're just kind of waiting. Are you going to do anything else?
Can she hear The other are their companions just getting any closer, or
Give me a perception check.
15.
Yeah, you can kind of hear some commotion coming from the direction you came from. You hear a couple shots. You hear ricochets. You hear a blast of plasma energy. You would recognize the discharging of Astra energy. And then you can hear the footfalls. You heard as somebody appeared to fall hard when there was that explosion. And it sounds like they're coming down the hall towards you. But you can also hear something above you as you're oriented. Something in the ceiling.
She is just going to, I guess, ready in action with her weapon. She's just going to step back a little bit towards the end of the hall, so she's facing the T intersection, and she's just going to step back a little bit, and she's just going to hold out her gun just poised at the ceiling in case anything flies out.
So how far back did you move?
Just 5 feet.
Okay, so you're kind of, at this point, what was the ceiling for you is now kind of 45 degrees off axis as you move back down this weird twisting hall. And you can hear something moving in the ceiling. There's kind of a skittering sound. You hear something kind of grunting like, and then you hear like almost like a tearing sound. And then you just hear, ow, shit. And then the ceiling panel falls, following the orientation of the gravity where you were. And then you see a set of feet coming out, which at this angle you're at, almost seems to be coming at a 45-degree angle. And then you see the legs of an orange, or no, oh, wait, I think your scout suits were blue, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, like turquoise.
Yeah, you see that kind of blue prison scout suit as you see a set of legs, and then Trinity drops to the floor in front of you. She turns around and she sees you. Are you holding a weapon, or are you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah,
she turns around, she sees you, and she's like, don't shoot, don't shoot.
I see you're doing a really good job of finding your way out. Maybe you've been in the prison for too long. It's making you stupid.
It's not just me, but do you see the way we're standing right now as she's kind of standing at this angle, this 45-degree angle to where you're standing? This ship does not seem to follow the normal laws of physics, so F off. And that's kind of all the time there is for that interaction, as so let's see, you made it around the corner too. Yep, okay. Anybody watching, so I guess that would be Quinn and Fenris and Orion that's in that hallway. If you're watching the direction you came from, for the next few seconds, nothing seems to be coming any further towards you. And that's Orion's turn.
So we have Fenris right next to me. And then did Quinn get to catch up at all yet?
Yep, Quinn's kind of caught up to you guys, and just she's kind of covering, almost covering Fenris as he was reloading.
I'm gonna continue on towards the escape. But before I do, I would like to I'm gonna take one of the heavy pistols I have and like shove it towards Quinn, and he's not going to say anything because that's the extent of a thank you that you would get from him. And he's going to head towards the escape pod.
All right, if you take it, you now have a heavy pistol.
She'll take it like with a nod, like small smile, and just holster it because she's still carrying the carbine.
Orion, you make it to the end of the hall, and you turn to the right. You see the bizarre twisting corridor. You see Kirst standing with a weapon raised about 5 feet from you. And you see that she's pointing her weapon at what appears to be an unarmed Trinity, who is standing on the floor and standing at a 45-degree angle in the hallway with one hand raised and her middle finger extended to Kirst.
He'll reach off from his wound and touch a bloody handprint onto the wall to be able to look around to see this. And then he would go around the corner and try to raise his hand to prepare a prepared action to fire to cast a spell. But he wouldn't do it quite yet since she hasn't fired. He would wait and kind of tilt his head to the side, like trying to ascertain what's going on.
She's kind of looking around, Kirst, looking at you, and she just says, she kind of looks, like puts her hand down from flipping you off, Kirst, as she goes, I promise you, I'm not reaching for a weapon. As she slowly starts to reach back, and she stops halfway thinking, just kind of thinking something, and then she turns her body so you can see that she's reaching at the back of her belt. She has 3 menders tucked into her belt of her scout suit, and she pulls one of them out and holds it up, and she goes, he looks like he's about to die, and well, I need you in order for me to get out of here too. So maybe you could give this to him. And she hands you the mender to hand to Orion. Do you take it from her, Kirst?
Yeah, Kirst would put down her weapon. She says, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, the more of us that are alive, the, better chances we have, I guess. She just is kind of like thinking about it, but she does take the mender and she is going to toss it over to Orion.
All right, and we're actually, we're going to, for the time being, we're going to slip out of initiative order. So Quinn and Fenris, you kind of hear the conversation happening, and you're able to move up, and kind of just as Kirst is handing off this mender to Orion. So anybody that has menders that wants to use them can do so at this time. So that's basically means you get to roll one of your hit dice and add your con modifier, and you're going to recover that many hit points. Now,
I kind of look around and anybody got one I could use?
And you see, still standing there kind of at this weird angle, you see Trinity standing down there, and she kind of looks at you, and any of you would have known that Trinity, she's always kind of had eyes for Fenris. And Fenris, whether or not you ever noticed this, I almost think that maybe you wouldn't have noticed it, but that's up to you, that Trinity, she just kind of She walks past you, Cursed, just gently, kind of almost gliding past you. She gives you a weird side eye just because of that standoff you just had. And then she walks past you, and she just makes an extra show of sliding her hand up her hip, grabbing the mender, and she takes one of your hands, Fenris, and as much as she can uses both of her hands to press this into your hand, this mender. I'd be happy to help you with this if you need it.
So Fenris just kind of looks at her with a kind of confused look, and he puts his other hand on top of hers, just kind of like it's not tender at all. It's just kind of slapped on there. It's clearly just trying to mimic what she's doing, and thanks. And just kind of slides the mender out of her hand while he pulls his hands back.
You can hear Curse just audibly sigh, and just like you can almost feel her roll her eyes. And she's like, only you, Trinity, would try and bang someone on the Harbinger.
Nobody said I was trying to bang anybody. I'm just trying to help you guys out. Look, I want to live as much as I'm sure you do. And I'm pretty sure you guys haven't seen the weird ass shit that I've seen in the last couple minutes. I mean, you've seen this hallway, right? It gets weirder as you go on.
Quinn kind of starts to point back towards the corridor, but to kind of bring the monstrosity into the conversation, but then just thinks better of it. And yeah. Let's have a look around here and maybe find a way off this bloody thing. Where's this escape ship that we see mentioned on these walls?
Well, that's kind of where it gets weird. And just real quick, anybody that healed up, where are you guys sitting at for hit points now? Did everybody heal up? I think everybody had a mender at that point. Oh, that's the perils of level 1, as Megan says she's full at 7.
7 as well, which is not full, but 7.
At 11.
What are you at, Chad?
7 as well.
Okay. Okay. Wow. It's like 30 hit points amongst the 4 of you. So she says, yeah, this is where you're going to want to brace yourselves because things get pretty weird down here. And she just turns and starts walking along the corridor, and you would all see her as she continues on, and she's suddenly upside down. And then a little further along, she's kind of walking, continues around until she's parallel to the floor. You guys follow?
Whoa. That's and Quinn kind of starts to kind of do the whole math and the physics of the situation and kind of assess to see if she's okay.
Fenris starts to follow, but he's definitely like got one hand on the wall, like kind of tentatively, like very, very apprehensive about it.
Yeah, and so as you're moving, to you, for your own perception, it looks and feels as if the corridor itself is moving to keep itself oriented to you. But if you look back at anybody that's more than 5 feet away from you, they're at odd angles, depending on whether they're in front or behind you. You all feel gravity just seems normal as you're moving along.
So after the maybe 30 or 40 feet, Fenris just starts to kind of chuckle and laugh, like getting a kick out of this.
And you would see after just about 30 seconds, and you've kind of walked along this twisting corridor. Once at some point it kind of levels to where you now feel like you're walking straight down the corridor, and that's where you had seen Trinity walking parallel, and you're walking towards. She leads you towards a ladder that is metal rungs that kind of come out from the wall at standard intervals, and there's some red and yellow hash marks. And the ladder actually starts at where the, kind of about 5 feet up. So almost where the corridor seems to go up towards this ladder. But the wording that's stenciled there is actually upside down. And there's an arrow pointing in the direction of this ladder that if you kind of turn to read it, it says escape ship. And Trinity just turns and looks at you all. And instead of reaching up to grab the rungs of this ladder and pull up, she steps forward, puts a foot on the wall, and with another step, she's suddenly walking on that wall and just kind of stepping over the ladder rungs as she starts moving up. She goes, "I told you, it's freaking trippy up here." Well, come on. If we're going to get off of this thing, I actually found the ship, but, well, I probably should have asked this. Do any of you know how to fly?
I feel like Quinn would have some experience flying a ship. I don't know. I mean, not a very large one. Kind of like a scout ship.
Well,
like an escort ship.
How would you respond to Trinity? With confidence or...
Yeah, Quinn would definitely say, well, take me to this miraculous escape ship and let's just get out of here. It's what I've been trying to do ever since this whole nightmare started. And she would just walk towards Trinity and kind of try to hurry, to make haste to get there as quickly as she can.
So anybody that mimics the motion that Trinity and now Quinn has made would be able to negotiate this weird gravity shift. And this ladder seems to continue for about another 30 feet. And I would like Quinn to roll me a d20.
$13.
All right. You continue moving along this corridor, and you see, as you're kind of just stepping around these rungs, you see as she gets to the end where the rungs kind of meet the floor, she momentarily puts her hands on this wall and then just kind of does a weird kind of pushing around, as it seems that has now become the floor. It's kind of an awkward maneuver to kind of shift around so it can become the floor as she's now moving. It's even at this point hard to tell, in compared to where you came from, even what direction you're moving. While you move to your physical left, you start to question whether or not it's even left or right or up or down. You're losing all sense of where your direction was taking you. And you can see that now that you're there, Quinn, you can see that this corridor continues on for about 12 feet and ends at an airlock door. Who was behind Quinn?
I would follow pretty quickly.
So what would your order have been coming down this hall?
I probably would have taken up last spot since everybody else had already taken off down there.
I'd probably be after Quinn.
All right. So Quinn, you're able to kind of awkwardly navigate this grav shift and find yourself back on your feet facing this new orientation. And and then Kirst, and then Orion. Fenris, roll me a d20.
5.
That's what I wanted. Roll me another d20.
I don't like the sound of this. 4.
Oh, that's too perfect. As everybody's kind of orienting themselves back into this new area, and Trinity is just starting to tell you, Quinn, and as you're kind of coming up there, Kirst, you can see that there's a control panel at this airlock that she started to mess with, and there's an open access panel to the right that actually leads into the ventilation system. And she says, well, I was actually starting to work on this a few minutes ago, starting to hack the lock when I heard some commotion and something was coming down the ladder, and I saw one of them three-eyed bastards coming around, and I had to duck into the air, and then I got all kinds of turned around. I mean, you've seen what it took to get here, and I thought I was coming back here, and that's when I ran into you, honey. So luckily we made it back here. I think I can finish this up, and we can get inside this ship. And you, as she kind of points a finger in your chest, Quinn, are going to be hopefully able to fly us the hell out of here. Fenris, as this conversation is happening, give me a perception check.
21.
You hear a sound that it's almost like not only is physical orientation distorted in this space, but being able to kind of tell where something is coming from is momentarily, it just seems to come from all directions. It kind of sounds like if you threw like a rock or a ball or something down a metal tube, there's this metallic kind of clang, but you quickly surmise in just a fraction of a second that the sound you're hearing is rapidly approaching you. As you turn back, just as you kind of orient yourself, and you turn back to look in the direction of this ladder, and you see one half of the corpse thing falling down this chute towards you. And I need you, Fenris, to make a dexterity save to get out of the way.
20.
What does it look like as you expertly dodge out of the way of this falling corpse mound?
Just this kind of very loud guttural grunt. Ugh, as he kind of dives to the side, kind of bounces off the wall maybe, and puts somersaults right back to his feet with his gun pointed.
So I just rolled, don't fear for the fistful of dice I just rolled. That was for the falling damage that the guard corpse mound took as it fell the 30 feet. And it falls with a sickening thud next to you. But what's weird is when it falls on the wall to your left, rather than the floor. So it falls on what would have been the true floor as this ladder is oriented. And it's this sickening wet thud. You hear the breaking of bones. You even see as one of the two heads that are on it splits open as it hits this panel, and teeth go flying. What is your immediate reaction, everyone, to this?
I as soon as I come back on my feet, I just yell, "Go!" I'm just going to kind of back away, keeping my eyes on it. So,
Orion, you would have been the next closest. What's your reaction?
No, this is why I didn't want to come here.
How far is it from him?
You're all in this. There's basically a maximum of 12 feet between it and the airlock door to the escape ship.
His veins will start to glow red as he prepares to do what he does.
Curse, what's your reaction in the moment?
Curse is going to immediately take out her gun and fire a shot at this thing.
And then Quinn, how would you react to this?
She would very suddenly switch from that kind of hopeful confidence that, okay, we have the escape ship. There's more of us now. We got this. This is something I can handle. And then, oh shit, not that thing again. So she's just gonna, not saying anything, just stare at it, immediately, bring up the carbine and kind of almost push into Trinity as Trinity's working on the panel, and kind of just nudge Trinity and whisper, you'd better hurry, because you'd better hurry.
So Cursed, I want you to go ahead. I want you to roll for your attack. Since you were the one that kind of fired off a shot real quick. And then I'm going to have you guys roll for initiative again real quick.
That's a 12 to hit.
All right. So we'll resolve that in a moment. I want to hear everybody's initiative.
11.
16.
8.
16. And what'd you got, Chad?
18.
All right. So this is not your action, but I need a dexterity save from you, Orion, to avoid getting shot by Cursed.
Natural 1.
Cursed, I need you to roll damage as you shoot Orion in the back.
I'm going to use a point of inspiration first.
All right, go ahead and use that point of inspiration.
Not much better. 6.
Cursed, I need you to roll damage as you shoot Orion in the back.
I got a 4 points of damage.
Orion, it is your turn, and you have just been shot in the back by Cursed.
He's going to step forward from the impact. I'm assuming that she probably hit me high, trying to hit over my shoulder.
Yep.
And I'm not even probably sure whom shot me, other than maybe there's a smoking pistol or weapon behind me. And I'll grin and I'll, not today. And I'll push past. I believe Fenris is the only one in my way. And I'm going to go up and I'm going to boost plasma beam towards the black mass.
And is that a dex save from this thing?
Yes, sir.
All right, and it's going to go at disadvantage because it's still kind of recovering from this fall. That's going to be a 3.
No, definitely not. And it takes 19 fire damage because I boosted it. And it will be the fire lingers in each creature who fails their dexterity saving throw. Takes an additional 1d8 at the start of its next turn.
All right. You'll need to remember that.
Gotcha.
Takes a d8 at the start of its turn.
Yes, sir.
All right. So just remember that when it gets to its turn. I'll make a note too, just so hopefully I won't forget. Cursed, you're up next. Having just shot Orion in the back.
Well, he didn't seem to respond in anger to her, so she's just not going to say anything, and hopefully it passes. But is there anything Is it just this ladder and then the airlock?
Yeah, you are in a completely enclosed hall except for that crawl space ventilation shaft that Trinity had escaped through before.
Right. She's gonna try and take another shot at this thing.
Okay, this time because you've had time to react, you're not going to have to worry necessarily, unless you roll a critical fail, you're not going to have to worry about hitting one of your companions. So go ahead and take a shot at it. And
Ooh.
I'm going to say because it's until its turn, all attacks against it are going to have advantage. Just because it's still in this puddled mass.
Right. Well, I got a nat 20, so I don't.
Oh, all right.
So you do just full damage and then on top of that?
Just as a reminder for my games, critical hits are automatic max damage. Then you roll damage dice one more time on top of that.
So that's going to be 15 points of damage.
Nice. Let's see. So that's... Okay. Fenris.
So as a bonus action, I'm going to go ahead and I'm assuming it's been more than a minute since our last encounter. So I'm going to go ahead and re-energize my scattergun, which puts me at +1 on the Astra table. So do I need to roll that first or is that after?
The moment, so the way the Astra Fade work is the moment you are over your fade limit, you roll that. So you're actually going to, before you roll your attack, because the simple infusion has pushed you over, so you should be rolling on the first Astra Fade. What'd you roll?
6. I take 1d8 force damage.
Oh, snap.
So, yeah. So you want me to roll that or do you want to roll that?
No, you go ahead and roll that. That's your Astra. It's your
oh, hey, 1.
What does that look like as you kind of do this thing you're used to doing? Maybe it's because it's been 11 months since you've done it.
I like to think that I just kind of grab my scattergun. I'm assuming it's got some sort of. I like to think it's like a shotgun.
Yep.
A pump action shotgun, but I get my hand caught in the lever, and it like pinches me like and like I'm just kind of.
And there's just like a flash of Astra.
Yeah. So. And then I'm going to shoot it in the face.
All right. One of its faces.
One of the faces. And it is not. Oh, I have advantage anyways.
Yep, you have advantage on it.
Since I get advantage on. Anyways, can I have double advantage?
No double advantage.
I had a 16.
That is going to hit.
All right. And I'm just going to do.
And this is an Astra infused shot.
Yes. 9 points of red Astra damage, red energy damage to a face.
Yeah, you actually just with this kind of, even though you caught your hand in it, you level this scatter gun and you literally blow one of the heads apart.
And then I'm going to turn to the other ones beside me to say, it's slow. We need to go now.
I'm working as fast as I can, honey. As Trinity's been feverishly working at the control panel on this thing. She's got the wires out. She's got one hand kind of rapidly just pressing buttons as she's moving wires around on the other side. Quinn.
How far away from Quinn is this creature at this point?
So you had mentioned that you were kind of already kind of pressing into Trinity, telling her to hurry up. So you're 10 feet away from this thing.
And there's everybody's in front of me, right?
Everybody's in front of you, but I mean, it's a wide enough corridor you can get a clear shot on it. This thing is like three times the size of a person.
Okay. So she's gonna kind of try to find the clearest shot. I mean, moving more sideways rather than, down the corridor so that she stays close to Trinity. She would move kind of sideways, then go down to one knee and try to. No, first she clutches the carbine, and as a bonus action, I will energize the carbine.
Okay.
It's bonus action, right?
Yep.
Yes. And then try and take a shot.
With advantage?
Yes. So that's going to be a 17 to hit.
That's going to hit.
Hurrah. So that's what? Okay. And another 1d8. Sorry. That's going to be like 5 damage with the energy included. So she's still kind of, it's a new weapon. And she fired it once before, but she was panicking. She's still panicking. Let's just go with that.
Behind you, you hear, wait, I think I got it. Ah, shit. No, wait. And then you hear, as the airlock comes open. And Trinity starts yelling, go, go, go. And as you all start to filter in through the airlock door, Orion, roll me that 1d8 damage that this thing's taking.
3.
You all start to filter. Do you all immediately follow into the airlock? Now that Trinity has it open?
I go just inside the airlock, but then I'm gonna stand guard to make sure that the others make it as well. Kind of look past the.
So everybody.
Similarly,
go ahead, Dwight.
I was going to say, similarly, I just kind of back in, making sure everybody gets in, weapon trained on the thing.
Orion would try to astrobolt it one more time before he ran away, being furthest away from the opening to the escape pod.
So, as you're all getting into this, as Trinity starts to close the door, and you're all moving in, Orion hesitates just a moment as the doors are closing, and he fires a plasma bolt. Go ahead and take that shot. No longer with advantage, as this thing has risen and is starting to kind of shuffle towards you.
Natural 20.
I could tell before you even said it. I could see that look on your face. Go ahead and tell me what it looks like as the doors are closing and you obliterate this thing. What does it look like?
He takes the first shot, like an astrobolt, and then he steps backwards and he's another astrobolt and another astrobolt, and he's just, it's already long dead, but he doesn't know. It's burning and he's firing at it, and he's just trying to make sure it doesn't chase after us because he does not want to die here. And he's just screaming like, yeah, 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 with each astrobolt as he runs backwards and probably falls into the escape.
I say, as he's doing that, I just kind of reach out and put my hand on his shoulder and slowly pull him back. It's over.
And you get that one last bolt as Fenris pulls you back through the last couple inches of the closing airlock door. As Orion, you are the front as Fenris pulls you back, the doors close. Your front is splattered with the gore of blasting this thing. Behind you, Trinity goes, all right, this one's easier. And the secondary airlock opens, and you see a small vessel. It's old looking. It has a very industrial look to it. Just for ease of description, as I think most people are familiar with this. Cinematically and cosmetically, this looks very much like the style of Firefly. It's that type of look aesthetically. Everything very industrial, lots of like toggles and switches. But it doesn't have that cobble tech feel that you guys are used to in the Bastion system. This looks like a like it may be Old Dominion tech, maybe on its tail ends. Trinity immediately turns to Quinn and says, "Well, you said you knew how to fly this thing. There's the pilot seat. Fire up."
Are the airlocks? The airlocks are closed behind us, right?
Yeah, she's gone ahead and closed the secondary airlock. And you guys are now inside the vessel. There are 6 seats. There's a pilot seat, a co-pilot seat, and 4 jump seats behind that.
So as soon as the airlocks are closed and everybody's safely in, Quinn would just kind of push back the carbine on the strap, She would push it back and would immediately sit in the pilot seat and kind of start the takeoff sequence. If everything checks out, she's going to do a check first to make sure that this thing still flies. This rust bucket still flies, but she is very impressed that she gets to fly something real Dominion, even though it's old, but it's not something that's been patched or has gone through other hands before.
Go ahead and give me a tech check. And I'll say that...
Oh my God. Just...
Trinity, I'm going to say that Trinity is helping you. She's already kind of messing with some of the systems. And she's confirming life support's good. Atmosphere, acceleration compensators, all that stuff. So you are going to roll with advantage as she's assisting you. Which sounds like you needed. I was going to say that before it sounded like you had a really bad roll.
Yeah. If I take the point of inspiration, I have to take that roll, right?
Well, you have advantage, so you don't need
Yes, I know. But okay, it's going to be an 11 because it's going to be an 11.
That's fine. It was a DC 10.
Oh, yay.
This is not a junked out ship. It's just a ship that hasn't been fired up in a while. And Trinity's already kind of bringing systems online, confirming that everything's good to go. And you kind of feel that familiar thrum as the whole ship begins to vibrate and hum as the main engine core comes online. And all of the indicators, though they're archaic, all of the indicators are showing you that this ship is ready to disengage. And then Trinity goes, "Wait a second." And she goes, "It appears we're still inside some kind of a bay. Hold on." And she's going to start flipping at some switches. Fortunately, she goes, "All right, I think this is it." And then you see in front of you through the viewport, you see this kind of as this almost like scalloped door just kind of goes and starts folding away in like 180 degrees, revealing open space before you. You can see also extending on beyond that the length of Harbinger, as you seem to be on this side of Harbinger. And you see what would be probably the distance is almost impossible to gauge because it seems almost like it's immediately in front of you, yet it also seems like it's 50 kilometers away, as you can see the broken fragments of the moon of Verloren that as it was shattered when Harbinger just eviscerated this moon when it appeared a year ago. And that's what you are facing toward. As Trinity says, "What are you waiting for? We need to get this thing going. Get out of here."
as controls just power up and things seem to be working well, Quinn is just like more and more hopeful and like just yeah, let's go, yes, this works, yes. And she would like to just as she's about to start punching in the destination, she kind of has this moment of wait, and then turns back to the others. Where to?
And Trinity doesn't even wait. She reaches over and she grabs your hand that's sitting on the throttle and forces it forward, causing the escape ship to just shoot out as she goes, sorry, we can figure out where we're going after we get out of here. You are now shooting at high velocity along, you shoot out of whatever this bay was, and you are now cruising at high velocity, skimming along the surface of the Harbinger itself. Even at this close range, it's difficult to make out features. You can see large protrusions, sometimes that look like almost like oil refineries, things that look like familiar vehicles. Every once in a while, you see what kind of, as light is haloing around the far side of Halo or of Harbinger, you see almost what look like tentacles writhing up, or the equivalent of like black solar flares. And I want everyone to make a wisdom saving throw.
16.
14.
Same.
Quinn?
13.
All of you feel something pulling at the back of your mind. It almost feels like, as you're accelerating forward, like something is pulling at the back of your head. It feels like something has tendrils inside your brain. But as you're accelerating, you feel its grip slip and pull away. And you no longer feel this dark oppression. You're shooting now towards the shattered moon of Verloren. What are you going to do?
I think that Cursed would just start laughing. Just this, like, when you just have all of this tension, all of this pent up fear, and it just goes away. That sense of relief, the only way that she would know how to express it is just with this laughter.
What about Orion?
Orion, when he first stepped in and took everything off, you see the blood and kind of evaporating from the heat from his Astra, and he's still nearly hyperventilating at first, and he's starting to calm down and catch his breath, and to get away from the agony that was the Harbinger. He feels elated with a sense of newfound freedom, and he just sinks down and curls up and tries to lay down and wake me up when we get there.
Fenris?
As soon as Fenris is able to tell that we're settled and kind of moving again, he's gonna get up out of his chair and he start looking around the cabin, trying to find anything useful, weapons, armor, anything, equipment, anything like that.
All right. And as you're doing that, Quinn?
So Quinn would still be looking through the viewport towards the approaching remnants of the moon, because for Quinn that's kind of out of the frying pan into the fire. She's not comfortable with Verloren. So she would kind of still be tense enough to look over the controls and try to figure out how to maybe change course. I mean, what is current course? Can she tell? Is this going to take us to Verloren or kind of through the scattered pieces of it?
A little bit of both. If you stay in your current trajectory, you're going to skim the surface of Harbinger. You'll start to get toward the debris field and then ultimately toward Verloren itself. As you're kind of making this assessment, you are sitting down and presumably you're strapped in.
I don't think she would have thought of doing that to strap in. She would have just sat in the chair and started going over the controls. So not strapped in, but yeah, definitely sitting.
Cursed and Orion, are you strapped in?
No, I don't think so. I think they're so caught up in just this revelry of, or she's so caught up in this reverie of just being out. Yeah.
So because
Yeah, you tried
nobody
to lay
is
on the
strapped in.
floor.
Whoops, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Chad.
he was trying to find a spot to lay down on the floor.
Oh, that's right.
He was trying to find a spot to lay down on the
And
floor.
Fenris had gotten up and was kind of wandering around, looking through, trying to find anything useful. There's this moment where you're all feeling the elation of escape. Quinn is maybe feeling a little something else as she's trying to figure out how to avoid going directly to Valoran. When there's this, it's not a sound, it's just a sudden, it feels almost as if the ship itself that you're in was compressed in every direction by 2 or 3 feet and then instantly pulled apart in that same thing. It just kind of goes. Anybody that's not strapped down suddenly goes flying. Isaiah, Orion, just as you're starting to lay down in a corner, you're flung up into the air. Fenris, you were just checking a cupboard that was empty. You turn around and suddenly find yourself flying backwards through the air. Cursed, Quinn, and Trinity all go flying out of their seats. And after literally just a half a second of that, you seem to be moving almost frozen in time. And you can all kind of see toward the viewport, and particularly Quinn, whose eyes we are now seeing with, as you see the shattered moon of Verloren. And you see the pieces of Verloren, the asteroids, some of which even have been, over time, have been added to the Rings of Bastion. They start moving in a trajectory rapidly toward Verloren. You see pieces going, even flying from beyond where you're at, larger and larger pieces. And they start kind of, you see, as this is happening rapidly, it seems as though Verloren itself almost seems to be reassembling. And as the pieces, just in the span of a few seconds, just, it seems to be forming together. You hear, again, you don't even so much hear it. It's the loudest absence of sound. As in an instant, Harbinger vanishes. The moon of Verloren stands before you, directly in front of you, complete as it hasn't been in over a year. Your vessel is hurtling faster and faster toward the once shattered, now whole moon of Verloren. And in just a matter of a few seconds, you are still locked in this sort of slow motion free fall. Suddenly, the whole ship lurches. You all go flying up against consoles. You slam into the pilot yoke, Quinn. Cursed, you're slammed into Trinity, knocking her into something. Fenris, you fly across the cabin, slamming into Orion as he's coming down. And your ship is now hurtling, the hull heating up as you are rapidly crashing through the atmosphere of the moon of Verloren. And the last thing that we see before we cut is as the camera pans over to the collapsed forms of Fenris and Orion. And I think you two would have been knocked unconscious from this collision. We see the gore-splattered form of Orion covered with the gore of this bizarre Harbinger-fueled monstrosity. And as the ship is hurtling through the atmosphere on a collision course, we see rivulets of blood and gore begin sliding down off of Orion, pooling on the floor, and start pooling together. And that's where we're going to end tonight. That was episode 2, Breaking All the Laws of Time and Space. How do you guys feel about that?
Nope.
Wow.
That was
That's
an
super
awesome,
cool. My heart.
awesome ending. Sorry.
I knew
Yeah.
that Verloren plays a key part in Quinn's backstory. So it just worked out that it was happening in this way. I don't know, a lot of it I'm just kind of making up on the fly, but I have this general idea of the direction that we're going based on your choices. And I loved the look on Alexa's face as suddenly Verloren was coming back. You see Verloren reshaping and Harbinger disappear. And also Megan's reaction when I was describing the monstrosity of the guards as they showed up. Which I will reveal is basically a reskin to a much smaller CR version of the Kobold Press's Tome of Beasts Corpse Mound, one of my favorite monsters in that book. And it was a really very scaled back. You guys are level 1, but I will say this: that in those moments as you were escaping Harbinger, you took a piece of Harbinger with you. You don't know what exactly, but you all feel stronger and more powerful. You will be level 2 in the next session.
Nice.
So you can go ahead and level up accordingly. So that'll mean, in fact, why don't we do? I'm gonna steal a play from Matt Mercer in Critical Role. We're gonna roll for hit points now. I'm gonna have you each roll your hit die and add your con modifier, and that's what your new hit point maximum. What you get to add to your hit point maximum. So, what'd you get, Chad?
I added 8
Nice.
with my con mod.
Nice. Another 8. So
I'll
that's
be at a
take you up to
total of
15, I
17.
believe. What about
9 plus 8, 17.
17? All right. And what about you, Megan?
Yes, sir.
I'm up to 10.
What did you roll?
I rolled a 2.
Oh, no. How about you, Dwight?
I rolled a 9, which brings me up 10, so I'm at 21 now.
It looks like
Nice.
Curse is going to need to hide behind Fenris. How about Quinn?
I rolled 10, so that's another
Nice.
11 for a total of 22.
Nice.
Jeez.
Curse
Megan's
got
rolls remind me of my rolls on my other character on my monk character. I rolled shit for cost for HP.
So Cursed, you kind of got screwed on this one.
Well, I'm hoping she's a bit of a slimy character, so I'm hoping that'll be good.
So yeah, so as this session ends, something very bizarre has been happening since you crashed. But something bizarre happened, and you are on a collision course for what appears to be the repaired, restored Verloren moon. That's where we will pick up in episode 3, Moonfall. And that will not, for the viewing. What's that?
2 weeks from now?
Yeah, that's going to be 2 weeks from now. So for those of you who are watching, we will not be playing next week, as it is in the States. It is Memorial Day weekend. So that's kind of a holiday weekend. And I know I'm going to be out of town. Some other people are going to be traveling and things like that. So we will return 2 weeks from tonight. And I believe we're going to be down. We're going to be missing Dwight in that episode. Yeah. So I feel pretty confident in the fact that Fenris is going to be knocked unconscious. We'll figure out a way to deal with that makes sense when we return in 2 weeks. So as we get ready to head out real quick, one thing I would like to do, just in case people don't know what this is we're actually going to raid another channel if they're still on. A friend channel to MTD is Castle Mac. So I'm going to trigger that raid here in a moment. But I want to thank Alexa, Dwight, Megan, and Chad for another awesome game. They've agreed to go on this crazy ride with me for a couple months as we play some Harbinger. I have the general sessions planned for sessions 1 and 2 to get them to this point. They almost didn't survive this. And then things start to fall apart as far as planning for the next session, where it's really good. You guys are really going to have full control, a lot more control over what happens and the choices you make as you make Moonfall in episode 3 of So in just a few moments, the channel is automatically going to switch over for this raid. So thank you everybody who tuned in tonight. Be sure to tune in every Sunday night at 8, except for next week, for Bastards of Bastion. Check out everybody's Twitter handles down below to see what they're up to. And if you haven't already, use your Amazon Prime and Twitch Prime. Think about subscribing to MTD. I've been Jake. This is Mini Terrain Domain. Mitted.
Mitted.